putting a lot of trust into these platforms that they're going to show it to the biggest net or the widest net of people possible. My name is Caron Shahrestani. I am the founder of Caron Modern Media, and I'm the social media manager for Marin Open Studios. We've covered a lot of topics during our weekly workshop, and I am excited to have seen a lot of interest in social media, especially Instagram, because that is where I have found a lot of success for my own art. It's a platform that is the most visually centered, as we've talked about, compared to Facebook, compared to LinkedIn. And so for visual arts, it's really important to use this platform in every way that you feel comfortable. When it comes to Instagram advertising, it's just like we've talked about in our previous training session about Facebook advertising. When you are posting on social media about your art or about your life, and you do not put any money into that post, it's what you would call an organic post. If you are doing a post on social media and you put $5 behind it, meaning that you are paying Instagram or Facebook to show your content to complete strangers of whatever demographic you'd like, that is a promotional post. That's an advertisement. And I'm just making that distinction because I do know there are a number of artists who use social media purely as personal profiles, even if they have a professional art business. And so some people on Facebook, for instance, kind of decide not to have a Facebook business page. So part of what we're going to talk about today is why it's important to have a Facebook business page in order to execute Instagram ads, because as you may or may not know, Instagram is owned by Facebook, and so the two are interlinked. And even though one is much more visually centered than the other, it is important for both to be active and both to be linked in order for you to execute Instagram ads. So we're going to cover a little bit of that today in our screen share. So Instagram advertising involves posting on Instagram and then putting money behind it. Our topics that we're covering today are professional accounts, just making that distinction, linking to Facebook, as we just mentioned, boosting an existing post, analytics, as far as what goes into the creation of an ad and what gets reported back to you while an ad is running and after it's done, and royalty-free music. It is possible to have a presence on Instagram that is not technically a business page or a professional account, meaning that at some point you are working for profit, or at some point you're looking to sell a product or service. And so I have two accounts. One of them is Caron Mod Media, which I've shown you guys in examples in previous trainings. The other one is my art account, because I do video and photo and other things where it is exclusively my art, and that's See Art to Gallery. That one is not a professional account. It's technically a personal account. And that's because if I ever want to do a promotion, I just do it through my Caron Modern Media account, which is connected to my Caron Modern Media business page on Facebook. And so with CR to Gallery, it's really kind of just a gallery for art, recognizing that some of my followers, when I say followers, I'm going to do bunny ears because some of them are friends and family and people I know, and some of them are complete strangers who find me on the internet. But when it comes to my followers, some people don't want to see all of my stuff, all of my videos, all of my photo work. They just want to see my paintings. And so that's why I created an account dedicated just to that. It doesn't have anywhere near as many followers as my Caron Mod Media account does, but it allows me to send people to a very specific place where it's just art. And so if you were to go onto the back end of my personal profile called CR to Gallery, and you can see, you'll see a button when you log into your personal account. There will be a chance to edit your profile, or you can hit a triple line, this little stack in the upper right corner. You can see there's a red number 1. This will pop out a menu that'll say archive, activity name tag saved, and then at the very bottom, settings. So you would hit settings. And so this is the settings of a personal Instagram. And as you can see, at towards the bottom, there's in blue, meaning it's a button you can push, an option to switch to a professional account. So at any time, it doesn't matter how long you've been on Instagram, if you're ready to advertise, this has to happen first. And when you make that distinction, then you'll be prompted by Instagram to link your account with an existing Facebook business page. I've already done that with Caron Modern Media. I'm currently running ads on Caron Modern Media to draw more traffic to my art account. So it's possible to have one account sending traffic to another account. And that's where you have what are called Instagram influencers, people who get paid to post about products and services to influence other consumers and people to post or to purchase those things. And so with a personal account, you have to go professional to advertise. There's no way to advertise without making that switch. And the reason why it's important is because later in the training, we're going to get into analytics. And that's just a fancy word for numbers. We're going to get into the numbers and the return on investment, the ROI of actually giving money to these platforms and having your content shown to complete strangers. On my Caron Modern Media account, when you look on the back end, shows my name, shows my username, and then it says public business information. So not only is Caron Modern Media a professional account, but it's been linked to my Facebook business page successfully. And so this is public information that's available to anybody who really looks me up on Google, on the internet. If someone looks me up and looks up Caron Modern Media, both my Instagram and my Facebook should come up because I'm listed, kind of like the yellow pages. You're in a listing once you designate yourself as a business. This does change the way that Instagram interacts with you anytime you log in, because that means from that point on, Instagram is just waiting for you to advertise. They want you to give them your money and not just use a professional account for free. And so after a while, once you've had a professional account, you're going to start getting notifications or little pop-ups in your feed prompting you to boost an existing post, which we're about to get to. When you're linking to Facebook, and you can see here, these are 3 screens from my phone on the Facebook app. You can see here on the left, when you would go to create an ad on the Facebook app, you have an option to promote, boost your page, boost a post, get more messages. So let's just say, as I think I've discussed with you guys in previous trainings, that for me, the big ticket art clients have come through Facebook Messenger, direct messages, private messages. And so that's going to be the subject of one of our upcoming trainings. Let's just say you want to do an ad to get more messages. And this would sample whatever information you already had on your page. So this is my name of my company. This is the description I've already put on there. Here's a button that would be on the ad that says send message. And if you were to scroll down, so if this is on the Facebook app with your finger, you'd scroll down, you would see at the bottom of a Facebook advertisement is the option to run this ad on Instagram. And sometimes it's by default already turned on, because in Facebook's estimation, why wouldn't you want more eyeballs from both platforms to see this advertisement that you're putting money behind? And in a way, playing the game of advertising on social media is putting a lot of trust into these platforms that they're going to show it to the biggest net or the widest net of people possible so that you'll get positive results. And so when you engage that, you make a Facebook ad, you let that same ad run on Instagram, it can even show you a preview of what that would look like. So if it says see Instagram preview, and if you were to tap that, here's that same photo from my Facebook page, here's that same description, and that is how it would look in the Instagram feed. And so, as mentioned, Instagram and Facebook are linked as platforms, and when you decide to engage in advertising on Instagram, it has to be through an existing business page on Facebook in order to work. Boosting a post. On the Caron Modern Media handle, I should say, I recently boosted a post. It's technically a video, and it's this one, this little purple one. And so if I wanted to look at the status of that ad to see where it is, because I have boosted that post. Boosting means I posted it first. It was living on the internet organically, meaning no money was behind it. It's got that timestamp on it. She posted it yesterday at 5 p.m. or whatever. And then you choose to put money behind the content after the fact. That's a boost. An advertisement from scratch, more of what we covered in the Facebook advertising training, is a completely different thing because you're choosing to create content for the purpose of an advertisement, not just putting content out to share. When you're boosting a post like the one that I've done recently and you want to look at how it's doing, you'll see here on the back end of your business Instagram, you'll have a little button right there in your face that says promotions. That means it'll show you any status of current promotions and potential suggested promotions, meaning, again, at any time, Instagram wants you to give them your money. So it's always prompting you for opportunities to do that, and it's basing those prompts on statistics. How many people have seen it already? If it's a video, how many people have watched it to the end? It takes those statistics, it runs those analytics, and it presents to you which posts it thinks would be the best ads, just based off the robot's information. So when we look at promotions, it shows me here, my existing ad finishes in 3 days, shows you how many clicks, how much money has been spent. And then at the top, even while I already have an ad running, Instagram's like, would you like to create an ad? Would you like to promote this top post, meaning it's the post that's gotten the most action organically? Would you like to choose a post? If we were to click this current promotion and it says promotion insights, this is on a phone, numbers can be kind of small to read, but it tries to space them out and make it as presentable as possible for you to quickly be able to skim through and see how you're doing. And for instance, this tells me that of the people who have visited my Instagram profile since I started this ad, 60% of those people, it's specifically because I gave Instagram money for this promotion. And when it says here, discovery, 2,605 people have seen my post that I've advertised with. And it says of those 2,605 people, 90% were not already following me. And 87% came from the promotion. These are new eyeballs that I did not already have following me, that did not already have me on their radar. And so that's how ads for Instagram work the best in my experience, is it just puts you in front of more people, and it's up to you to put out content that's visually compelling enough that they will then maybe be a follower, or maybe they'll direct message you and ask you what your rates are, or they'll go check out your websites. It's all about that, as they call it, discovery. So 2,605 people have been reached according to Instagram's definition, meaning that they have spent a moment, and it's kind of, so it could be a second, it could be 3 seconds, but they've spent a moment looking at or consuming your art or watching your video. They might not have liked it, they might not have commented on it or shared it or taken any kind of action, but that many people have seen it. Like, their eyeballs have been traced by the robots. Impressions is a larger number, 2,992, because there are people who will skim right past you. As we know, Instagram is mostly smartphone. Some people look at it on their computer or their iPad, but mostly it's a little thing in your hand. So some people might swipe and they see you for a second, but they don't dwell and they keep going. That's still considered an impression. It wasn't a very deep one. It wasn't a very long one. If it's a video, they only watched a couple seconds. But these are things that Instagram and Facebook are tracking because, as we all know, the traditional advertising mantra is that someone has to see you at least 7 times. 7 good impressions, if you will, before they decide to take action on your product or your business. And so these are the different ways that Instagram tries to quantify for you where your money goes when you advertise and how many people came to your page for the first time because of the money that you put into the platform. only one day had passed in the promotion when I was looking at this current boost. And I know we're getting into analytics technically, but this is all part of an existing boost that I have currently running. So it'll show you that only 30%, 37% of my $40 budget has been spent. The reason why it's tracking it that way is that anytime you engage in advertisement on Instagram or Facebook, you can stop it or pause it at any time. Just stop taking my money. And so typically these platforms will bill on a monthly basis. And so if at any time you get a bill and you're like, oh, I didn't know, how is it this much? If you advertised more than once in the course of a 30-day period, all of that gets billed in one thing at the end of the month. And so if at any point you're like, oh, I'm putting too much money into advertising right now, you can pause or stop an ad at any time from day one to the end. What you want to keep in mind, though, is that certain ads do need more time to run in order to catch all of the people that could potentially enjoy your art. Some people look at art in the morning. Some people look at art at night. Some people look at art on Monday. Some people look at art on the weekends. Some people look at art in their garden, some on the toilet. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's different as far as when they pick up their phone and start looking at stuff, especially like when boredom or having just a moment to yourself can occur. It's different for every demographic. And so right now it's telling me my demographics for this ad are 42% men, 58% women. That's pretty close to what my regular split is on the followers I have on Instagram. It also shows me age range, and that the majority of people who've engaged with my content so far are between the 18-year-old and 24-year-old and 24-year-old to 34-year-old range. And so that slants a little young, but this is also the younger platform. Between Instagram and Facebook, more people under the age of 40 are on Instagram and more people over the age of 40 are on Facebook. That's kind of the split. Geographically, we all know that technically people can consume our art visually from anywhere in the world. But sometimes when you're doing an advertisement, you want to target locally when it comes to your demographics so that you can ship a canvas and not have to be an international situation, especially now with COVID. So when I see that, and I'm not engaging right now and looking at specific numbers, but we'll just say at least 80% of the people who've engaged with my content as a result of this ad are from the state of California. I could ship anywhere in the state. My art is small enough, that's fine. But also New York, Florida, Texas, New Jersey. If you want to do an international ad, that is possible. Facebook is all over the world. Instagram is global. But when it comes to your regular ads here at home in the Bay Area, that's one of the things you want to see, is that sure, you got all these numbers, but is it people actually within a certain distance where it would logistically be easy for you to deliver a physical piece of art? Finishing up with the boosting post part of today's training. So this is a little painting I did of Stevie Wonder. And this was one of the posts that was suggested to me by Instagram to boost it. So for the sake of our training today, I'm just showing you what that flow works like. So again, you'd be on Instagram, you'd hit the promotions ad. At the top it says, pick a post to boost. And this is what you're looking at. So here at the top, you've got these little squares. You'd be swiping left and right, and then tap and engage. So you can see the one of Stevie here at the top is a faded orange and not the bright orange of the main image. That means it's selected. That means that's what we're looking at. So let's just say I'm like, let's do a Stevie Wonder ad. The first question is, what do you want from this ad? Do you want more people to look at your profile, more people to go to your website, or more people to send you direct messages? I've said time and again, direct messages is how I close the deal with clients. Get one person in my inbox being like, how much is your art? I tell them, they like it, let's do it, give me your money, let's go. So direct messages, let's just say, is the point of this specific ad. Then you have, or no, it's not, let's just say website, because here we are typing in a website. Let's say you want to promote your website. Maybe it's your own personal website, or it could actually be your page on the marinopenstudios.org, but you want to make sure it's your specific page with your profile, so you're not just sending them to the general site. So if we're doing an ad for driving more traffic from Instagram to your website, and we type in the URL or the address of the website, and it'll have a little green check next to it. In that, Instagram will verify that that is the correct or a correct and functional address on the internet. It allows you to pick the action button. There's only this 6 to choose from. I know sometimes, especially as artists, we want to get more creative with our words. There are not a lot of choices. So if you were going to do an email sign up, like get on my email list, you know, sign up would be it. If you would want someone to book, you know, a custom live portrait, book now. If you want to contact us about commissions, contact us. If you want to watch more of my art videos, all of these, and of course shop now if you actually have art and art products for sale on your website. But learn more, the one at the top, is the most basic, the most used, but I always consider it to be my favorite. On Instagram and Facebook, learn more. It's not pressure about buying or booking or selling or signing up. It's like, check if you like this, because it's art, right? If this looks good to you, learn more about it. And most people like to learn. So that's the good call to action. After the call to action, it gets into your target audience. I have existing audiences here. You'll see one of them is called Gutsy Women Win, because I have a client whose name is Gutsy Women Win. One of them is MOS exhibition from an exhibition we did last year. One of them is fitness photos, because I've helped clients who work in fitness. So these are already made audiences. I might have made these audiences on Instagram. I might have made them on Facebook at one time or another, but you save it and it's available on both to reuse at any time. So this Marin Open Studios exhibition one, I want men and women, not one or the other, ages 20 and up. I could probably slant that a little older if I want to, but that's what this one says. Geographically, I said Sonoma, San Francisco, San Rafael. And interested in modern art, art museums, or artists, etc. And then when you put those things in, the second screenshot, Instagram will estimate for you in numbers roughly how many people will be reached through those parameters you just laid out. This old, this geography, these interests, it says 870,000 people. That's a pretty nice chunk of complete strangers. And so if I go with that and you go to next, then budget and duration indicates how many of those 870,000 people will actually potentially be reached by this ad. And it does depend on how much money you give the platform and how long you run the ad. It's both. And so when you see here, if I did $5 a day over 6 days, and it calculates for me, okay, that's $30 over 6 days, does the math for you. The estimated reach is between 7,000 and 19,000 people. So we're not anywhere near the full potential of this audience that we've created, but with this much money for this much time, maximum 19,000 people would be reached over the 6-day period. And so this doesn't mean 19,000 people are going to send you an email. It doesn't mean 19,000 people are going to be going to your website. It means that many people are going to see your ad at some point, and if it looks good and it's bright and it's sharp and you wrote a nice snappy caption for it, maybe it made the type of impression that made them want to follow you or go to your website. Once you've chosen your budget and duration, there's one final screen, just like when you purchase anything on the internet. Are you sure this is it? The big button at the bottom. Your estimated reach is between 7,000 and 19,000 people. Once your promotion starts, you can pause spending at any time, just like we said. Sign up. I was the call to action I did for Marin Open Studios. So pretending this is an ad for registration for Marin Open Studios would be that nice combination. But audience is Marin Open Studios exhibition, which we described earlier. Budget and duration, $30, 6 days. Payment, this is connected to my PayPal account as someone who manages this page. And so you can have it connected to a PayPal, you can have a credit card entered in, but you would want some sort of payment information to be connected to your Instagram or Facebook in order to execute ads easily. Promotions are reviewed within 24 hours, although in some cases it may take longer. Once it's running, you can pause spending at any time. So the 24-hour review is to make sure that you are not using anything offensive, pornographic, that you're not plagiarizing, that you're not copywriting music, which we're about to get to. And so that approval process is just that. And once you're approved, they start taking your money. And once they start taking your money, you can say, stop taking my money at any time. But it's good to spend the time with a fine-tooth comb going over everything that you do for your ad, the little caption and all of that, because that 24 hours can be a very frustrating 24 hours if you maybe misspelled something or made a mistake about the budget. So definitely pay close attention to how you go through these parameters we just reviewed before executing, because that review period delays when you can change something or update something or delete something from an ad. You can pause at any time, you can stop it entirely, but adjusting it or correcting something is kind of a different story. It's a little trickier. Royalty-free music. I keep showing you guys these apps because they're my favorite for smartphone content. TikTok, InShot, Viva Video. TikTok actually accesses like recognizable copyrighted music and allows people to make videos with this copyrighted music of a length of up to 15 seconds. That's how long you're allowed to. That's like the legality of it, is that you're able to use a song for 15 seconds before it's considered a copyright. So I have made fun little artsy videos on TikTok, and then I pop it over to Instagram and I made an ad out of it. And so we'll look at that in a moment, and I'll show you what that looks like. But that's a really easy way to just tack some music onto an ad. Just know there is a chance, because that is copyrighted music, that if the person whose music it is or their agent somehow discovers your advertisement, they could report it and say, we didn't give them permission. And then Facebook will flag your advertisement and then send you a little notice saying, we've gotten this notification, please let us know if we are incorrect. And so when it comes to royalty-free music, you want to look at these other two apps, InShot and Viva Video. Both of them are for your smartphone. We've covered them in our smartphone video editing trainings that we've done thus far, but both of them come with a linked video library. I say linked because it's connected to their own cloud storage of royalty-free music. And when you find a song or a track that you're like, oh my gosh, that's so great over my painting time lapse, you are able to use that music in its entirety or any small part of it, and all they ask is that you attribute the artist in the caption of your caption or advertisement. There are a lot of people who use InShot, not just me. There are a lot of people who use Viva Video. These are not new programs, they're kind of a couple years old. So imagine how many people have used some of the royalty-free music in these libraries. That can actually sometimes trigger a copyright because the robots are like, wait, we've heard this before. So if you really want to avoid any sort of royalty-free issues, use InShot or Viva Video, and then also attribute the artist that those apps show you, the name of the artist and the name of the song, and then that should prevent you from having any issues with your ads. The ad that we were looking at, as I just said, is a TikTok. And it's actually a compilation of time lapses. So I did 30 canvases in 30 days. This is a 15-second video, so it's a second or less with each clip, and then there's a little text at the end. It all goes by very fast. 15 seconds is super short, and you guys can't hear the audio. I don't have our seminar linked up for you to hear what the audio of that video is, but it's just basically a fun rap song that I got from TikTok. And so keep in mind how easy it can be to really add some energy to an advertisement by having music behind it, especially when you play with video. You can have a professional Instagram without having a business page on Facebook, but you cannot advertise on Instagram without having a Facebook business page connected to it. Because because what will happen is that this company, I'm going to say this company because it's really Facebook, but Instagram and Facebook both want you to have a professional account and a business page. They want you to advertise on both platforms. So what Instagram has done sometimes is if you're like, I'm a professional Instagram account and I want to advertise, Facebook will be like, that's great. Let's just, you know what? Let us just create a little page for you on Facebook real quick. And it'll just toss your name up there. It won't populate it. It won't do anything cool with it. But all of a sudden you'll have like a ghost business page floating on Facebook that doesn't have any of your photos or any of your art or anything like that. So it seems like, you know, like a necessary evil, definitely, because a lot of people are anti-Facebook right now. However, this is a behemoth of business, and that the best way to really maximize any growing following you have is to at least periodically advertise. I do not regularly advertise, but I periodically advertise, and that's a big part of how I've grown my following and built my art business. And so I would suggest making the switch to professional in general, but like I said, there are a lot of artists out there that are just keeping it, they only have a personal Facebook and they only have a personal Instagram, and they recognize they can't advertise, but it's all for them word of mouth and private messages and, you know, some of that more almost old school way of just relating to people instead of having your art shown to complete strangers who like art and are in a demographic that would be your typical client. So.
Is there a monthly charge for the professional accounts?
No, the monthly charge is from that point on. Instagram's like, oh, hey, girl, want to advertise today? Oh, hey, Georgette, that flower drawing you did is real pretty. You want to put $5 behind it? We think you should put $5 behind. That's what you're paying. Just like on Facebook where you go on there and too much stuff's being thrown at you. Yeah. That's why it's free. It's that it's your eyeball space. It's your attention span. It's interruptive advertising. That's what you're paying. And when we cover LinkedIn, we'll talk about how LinkedIn actually does have a membership fee that, you know, you're not advertising per se, but you're paying LinkedIn to have like an elevated account, which is not a situation on Instagram or Facebook. So those are more traditional, where a business you can advertise. LinkedIn's like, oh, you want to be in the special LinkedIn club? Got to pay X number of dollars a month. So we'll cover that then.
One last quick question about, I already have a personal Facebook. So then would I change? I don't want to change that because that's like family and friends. So I would have a totally different Facebook.
So and this would be what would be your homework, because I have to get to the other questions, Deborah, is to watch the video on Facebook advertising, because that actually talks about how you need to have a personal account in order to have a business page, and that those are two different things.
Okay.
And so that's on our YouTube, and that's a good training for you to watch, so we don't get too far long in time, but thank you for your questions. If you pause an ad, can you move the money balance to another ad or just have to resume the same ad at some point? You can pause the ad forever. As I said, the platform bills you at the end of the month. So your report will say you've spent $5 so far, and you're like, stop. It could be stopped and it could be paused forever. But at the end of that 30-day period, you're going to be charged the first $5 or the first $2 that were accounted for before you paused it. What is the difference between having my pro account on Instagram or Facebook? So again, pro account versus personal account means at some point you plan to have a business transaction or sell a product or advertise. That's the main difference between being professional or business account and having a personal account. Is it better to make an ad out of a video or a still image? So Melissa, when you make an ad out of a video, Instagram or Facebook can quantify the results as views, as watches. So you could say, ooh, 5,000 people watched my art video as a result of the $10 that I gave Facebook. Did you get any commissions out of it? Maybe not. Did you get any private messages asking about the rates for your art? Maybe not. But gee whiz, you got 5,000 people to watch your video. So if you think about it, if you have a really compelling video about your artistic process and you're just like, man, I think this will sell it. I don't need to say anything else. Watch this. You're going to want me to paint something for you. Then sure, advertise a video. Whereas photos, just a still image, or a carousel ad, which could be several images, because on Instagram you can post up to 10 images in an individual post, and then instead of going up and down, it's left and right. And so if you had a series of paintings, like 10 individual paintings you think would be really eye-catching together, or a duo or a trio, you can do that. But tried and true and still image, one photo ads are the highest performing type of ad on both Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to play with videos, totally fun, totally great. That's what I just showed you was a video ad. But just know that when you get to the end of the month and you're like, where'd my money go? You're like, oh, right, a lot of people watched my video. Not, oh, right, that $2,000 commission I got from my advertisement. So anytime when you give money to the platforms, they're going to report something back to you. And then later you're like, okay, are people watching my videos? Is that worth 20 bucks to me? Or are people direct messaging me and asking me about my prices? Is that worth 20 bucks to me? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'd pay 20 bucks to have somebody in my inbox asking me about my art who'd never seen my art before. Sure. So that's the whole thing about Facebook and Instagram advertising is once you know what the value of the action is, whatever that action is, go to your website, message you privately, like your page. Then you know that when you get on the other end of it, no matter what, you're relatively going to be happy with the results because something will happen. You will get more strangers. It will show it to the exact demographic, age, range, geography that you want. It'll take sometimes longer for certain types of art. Like we all know sellable art, sellable art. It's that art that you pay, you know, small amount of money, big amount of money, but it just sells all the time. And it's like, maybe it's not your favorite thing to create, but you know what sells. That's the kind of thing where, you know, you don't have to put a lot of advertising money behind your sellable art. For one artist on Instagram, Ashley Longshore, she paints Audrey Hepburn all the time. That's her sellable art. That's what sells more than anything else. I feel like she maybe would be sick of it because she's painted like thousands of Audreys at this point. But the fact that she has a piece that she knows sells well means that you don't have to put that much money behind it because you know it strikes a chord with people. But some of us do really like deep, moody, maybe political, maybe dark art that makes you question reality. Someone might need to look at that again or a few times or for a long extended lonely night to decide that it speaks to them and that they want it and that they want something like that for their home. So do keep that in mind, that there is that element of what did you choose to show people when you decided to give money to Instagram and Facebook? Was it your best? And what is your best? Is it what you love and want to have on your wall, or is it what like everybody else tells you is like your best work? Is it the one that makes your heart sing? You want to put money behind that? Or is it the one that you know that you could sell at an art market like hotcakes? It's anytime you're thinking, why didn't that perform well? Or I wish it would perform better, flip the visual and do a completely different portrait or a completely different landscape or completely different vibe, maybe the same budget, maybe the same demographic. And that's where you have what's called an A/B test, which we can definitely do down the line, a more advanced form of advertising. But that's where you're like, these are almost exactly the same budget, same demographic, la la la. But this one has a picture with a painting with a blue backdrop. And this one has a painting with a yellow backdrop, and you never know, but sometimes the blue one will just crazily outperform the yellow one. You realize that your followers really like the color blue. But it's sometimes these little subtle things like that, where it hits people at the right time or they see it at the right place. why did you choose Facebook over Instagram for your professional account? So I have both, Georgette. I have a business page on Facebook and I have a professional account on Instagram, and they are linked and they talk to each other. So when I post something on Instagram, if I want to share it to my business page, I just click share to my business page on Instagram and it'll automatically do that. It'll cross post, if you will. So the two pages are talking to each other. When we cover the part in training where you're doing a Facebook ad and then it's like, we are assuming you also want to show this ad on Instagram. Facebook loves doing that. It loves having both platforms running for you so that if anytime you're like, oh, my Facebook ad didn't do very well on Facebook, but Instagram, it got thousands of likes, right? It's something where they figure, why not cast a couple of nets, one with the women over 40, one with the women under 40, and see which one does better. And so, as we've said before, it's about experimentation, $5 here, $10 there. You don't have to spend a lot of money to engage with these campaigns, but in my experience, it's worth it, especially when you're an artist who is proud of your work and you know that if more strangers saw it, they'd love it and they'd want to buy it, right? You have that confidence about it, then put a little money behind it, honey. Merci beaucoup, muchas gracias. Thank you everybody who came today. Round of applause. Seal of approval, kisses. Have a wonderful evening.